Oh, wow.
I am recording, and I was not expecting that.
I guess we've actually we recorded it for a while. It's always been a live show.
Yeah, they must have updated it or something. That didn't do that last time we recorded. Let's say, boys, we get right in about it, and we'll make the most of this hour. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ballcaps and Bagpipes. It's a Scottish baseball podcast, and I'm John McKellar of the Glasgow Comets.
And I'm Jason Durr, Baseball Scotland Hall of Famer, president in Edinburgh Cannons. It's like I got covered this time, John. Since you always tell me I try to shortchange myself.
Indeed, Edinburgh Cannon's legend I would probably go with, but Edinburgh Cannon will do.
The legend grows every time we talk about this. I was just quite happy saying I was former president. So
you also forgot to say that you're the owner of the Dugout Classics this time.
Owner of Dugout Classics. I haven't mentioned that for a while. Wearing the Fly Mets jersey that I got here. Got Brockman and Daryl Strawberry today. So that, and then we forgot to do that. Obviously a co-host of Tea and Tops, the only baseball card podcast in the UK that I know about. Apparently, we're huge in Norway.
Well, we're not here to talk about you today, Jason.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a very special guest on today. We're going to talk about this coming weekend's games as well. But first, let's introduce our guest today. We have on today Thomas Haywood.
Yes, good afternoon, as it is when we're talking.
Thanks so much for joining us, Thomas. Now, you are an umpire. We're going to talk umpiring. We're going to talk about how you got involved in baseball and stuff just shortly. First off, though, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. And like you just touched upon, we are pre-recording this at 1 PM on Thursday due to obviously this past Tuesday, Scotland were playing a pretty big football game that unfortunately didn't go so well.
Didn't go so well. That's all right.
Yeah.
Listen, we could have done a show on Tuesday night, but I think everyone was watching the football game, so we just doing it now.
Well, yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't. I went for a cycle, and I thought, well, these roads are quite empty.
So it's funny you say that. I played this game called Paddle, and we went the last Scotland game. And it was like, wow, the courts are empty. It was, oh yeah, that's right, because the football's on.
Well, Scotland are now out, so our Tuesdays are free for the rest of the tournament, so we won't miss any more weeks. So let's talk to Thomas just now. Thomas, first off, why don't you introduce yourself to anyone who might not be aware of who you are around the league and any viewers or listeners? You are Thomas Haywood, you're an umpire. Why don't you start off by saying where you're from and when and how you became involved with baseball originally?
So my name's Thomas Haywood. I live in Edinburgh, soon to be moving to Dunfermline. And I got into baseball, well, the abbreviated version was I went on university exchange in my second year from Napier University, where I was doing an honours in languages and export management. And I went over to Central Washington University, 100 miles east of Seattle, part of Jason's old stomping ground.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere.
It is really in the middle of nowhere, but it's in the town of Ellensburg, and I suspect the university is the main employer apart from agriculture.
It might be the rodeo. The rodeo might be the main employer.
Yeah, but that's just Labor Day.
I know,
anyway,
I know.
You can't escape American sports over there. And one of them, of course, is baseball. So you try and do something, but skills were useless, so I didn't do too much about it. Came back, and as one does when walking Holyrood Park, you bump into a baseball team, the Edinburgh Diamond Devils, as it was then. And well, that was in 2000, and I tried to catch. Yeah, right. Could I? Butterfingers United. Anyway, I then started taking on the sort of administrative roles of the club, and but after about 2003, I thought I'm not getting anywhere. I was generally put in right field where it caused least damage and right at the end of the game, and I thought I wanted to try and get involved in umpiring, and at the time there was no training over here. And I thought, well, I want to go over to the States and learn. And my boss at work at the time was being a bit of a so-and-so. And I asked him for 5 weeks unpaid leave to go off and do this course. And he went, it's equivalent of you leaving the company. I went, see ya, bye-bye. And I went off, chucking in my job to go off and do this course. You don't get somewhere in life without taking a risk. And so I went off to Jim Evans Academy of Professional Umpiring in Florida in 2005, spent 6 weeks total at umpire school. Now, if you thought that umpiring was simple, it's actually really quite complicated, and it's a different mindset to a player. You could position yourself totally in a different part of the field. And then I still got my aim at the time was to get a CEB tournament, a European International, within 3-4 years. I had that within 18 months because they trained us up to a minor league professional umpire standard. So that's the basis of the background how I got in.
So I would say he's got a good story about Jim Evans' umpiring school. I think they had a competition about who had the best strikeout call. So Thomas, you got to tell that story. That's a great story.
Well, that was sort of like they all had to do our own stylish strike threes, but obviously do it correctly, as in keeping your eyes on the ball within that. So I thought I'd just do a bit of a Highland jig and strike three. Of course, so Jim actually loved it. And there was another one, sort of kilt type based story. It was they did something called a camp game. Basically, in baseball, there's a lot of wasted time. So they would set up situations. So like runners on first and second, nobody out, and so the students also would do running of the bases to try and set this up, and they try and set up the plays. Anyway, so runners on first, second, nobody out. Like this, or in today's, or like here, to give the mechanics, and ball goes towering up. I looked at it and I thought, runners as fielders comfortably underneath, within the infield, comfortably underneath the ball. Well, it was borderline, but I thought right. So I went infield fly. You know, Jim Evans comes out as the manager of said team. Oh, Thomas, that wasn't an infield fly. That was an infield fly. Jim, in my judgment, it was an infield fly, so I called it. Oh, maybe they can run faster in skirts in your country. Jim, you're done. Yeah, basically is implying that Scotsmen can run faster than those in pants and sort of baseball pants in the USA. Yeah, well, right, okay, kilts are us.
That's a great story, Thomas.
That is a great story. Now I want to ask you, why umpiring? Why did that apply? Why did that appeal to you so much that you decided to give up playing in favour of umpiring instead of some other aspect of the game?
No, well, to be perfectly frank, I couldn't catch, I couldn't throw. I only ever scored 2 runs in my entire playing career, and I retired on my second run. I was generally not in the playing side of things. Plus, there was a dire shortage of umpires. I mean, just dire. So I thought I'd try and give it a go. My first year in 2004, I was useless. I went down to the umpire training weekend. Very typical saying, you went down for the weekend, you got your t-shirt, now you're an umpire. Yeah, right.
Right, okay.
Okay. Yeah, imagine 2, Ray Brownlee and Frank Parker, bowling down to you, both in full war cry. You haven't had the full training, and you're trying to deal with that shit, right? I'm not surprised when you've had intimidating managers bowling down on a total novice that they don't come back again, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I tried. I had 20 odd games where I was useless, but then nobody was there to teach me. So that's why I went off to the States, you know. So honestly, the thing there was, once I had the training, I carved a niche. But the training is key. You know, I've just spent, I was 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was down in London, and I was there Saturday and Sunday, and I taught 2 sets of umpires, a 3-man system, 3-umpire system, and so taught them positioning, everything else. taught them tips about the head height behind the plate and what to look for and stuff like that. And now that they've got some of those skill set tools in their techniques, they're a lot happier. So if somebody's there to teach them, then, you know, that's half the battle.
So who would you find at fault with that? I know umpires are short to come by anyway. Is it just not, I don't want to say BBF, BSUK, or is just actually finding quality umpires that are willing to do it?
I'm not aiming it at any particular organization. There seems to be a general mindset in British baseball as a collective, right? That, oh, we need umpires. And I go, yeah. So who's going to come forward and help? I'm willing to train on the job, right? I'll go behind the plate. You can go on the bases. I can teach you as we go along. Oh, that's somebody else's problem. And you turn to somebody else. Oh, that's somebody else's problem. So you go round and round in circles. Nobody's prepared to take the ownership of it. So comes everybody's problem because they don't have enough umpires. And then it's a chronic problem, because then what they don't also realize is that they if they have good quality umpires, they're going to get a good quality game. But then I also get a lot of this. Oh, well, we need umpires for a particular tournament that happened down south earlier this year. I'm not going to name names. And I said, look, if you want me to go down to London, I'm going to do an 800-mile round trip. I've got all my travel costs. I've got all that. Have you got some? I'm not just going down on a free pass, right? Oh, well, sorry, we don't have the budget for that. Well, my exclamation to that is, go budget for it. If you go when the start of the season, you put in a budget. You ask the players to put in an extra 20 quid, and if you've got, say, 20, 30 players, extra 20 quid, okay, fine, they may grumble a little bit, but then at least they're going to get reasonable umpires, And the other thing that would help in a lot of these games is start having some games on Saturdays. So that if team A, B, C, and D in this very simple league, for example, A and B will play on the Saturday, B and C, D and C and D will play on the Sunday. They don't play 2 days, but what that does is it allows for the umpires that are of decent quality to cover 2 games, not concentrate them into one go, and then everybody's shouting to the umpires. One of the other things that they did they've done in several countries, is they put their novice umpires in a green shirt. Now, that was like a sort of rule protective thing, so that when the umpires, when they were on the field, the manager could go up and ask him politely, what did you have on that? I had him out. Okay, fine. But if they raised their voice, the manager was gone. The idea being is it got the novice umpire gently into the game.
Cool. And they find that's being very effective.
Yes, they've started to build up. I mean, we're starting to build a few extra umpires. We have a British baseball WhatsApp group, and they come on after a game and say, oh, I had this issue, blah blah blah, and we can support them. And like there was one umpire who I spoke to actually on Sunday. He'd had 1 or 2 small issues, so I just rang him up and said, right, what? I think, yeah, that was it. The ball had bounced off the ground and hit his hand. I said, well, what position were your hands? They said, loose, just between the legs. I said, well, if you change the positioning, there's a better protective way so that you don't get stung by a ball.
John, you got a question there? So I was going to ask, how black and blue are you after a game? If you get stung by a ball here, so you must come back with a few bruises in there.
I've had my fair share of paint shop do's and dunks and what have you, but the equipment's getting a lot better these days. Like now, I've just gone and got some under tights that actually have protective pads on the insides of the sides, because those are the areas that can get hit. I have a mask that is sprung loaded, because that takes out the concussive force. Concussion is a very major and real issue these days. You've seen it in Major League Baseball, for example. We don't want concussive injuries. it's also where you position yourself behind the catcher. For example, if you're behind the plate, can be another major issue. You know, you don't set up outside of the catcher because you're far more likely to get thunked by the ball or foul tip ball or something like that.
That's interesting. You have spring-loaded umpiring. I had not heard of that. I mean, I'm sure you've taken a few shots in the face. Is there a big difference of when you started back in 2000? You said 2004, and now on just how equipment's evolved.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had a solid mask then. If you got hit, the catcher, the general convention is the catcher, if he's feeling kind, will go up to the pitcher to have a word and chat just to give you some time. But now with the sprung-loaded mask, there's been several times when I've gone, you dunk, and the catcher, "Are you all right? Oh yeah, what was that? What was that about?" You know, yeah. Oh yeah, fine. No, play on. Fine. It's sprung-loaded. Oh, okay. But not all of them see sprung-loaded masks, and the part of the issue here is we don't have a baseball equipment shop that's generally available in the UK because there's not a big enough market. So the cost of the equipment coming over gets quite expensive. Not all clubs can afford it. So some of the equipment that they have is fairly basic, you know, and they play their hearts out, but obviously they leave themselves open to injury if they get hit.
Now, so if you're listening to our show and you're interested in becoming an umpire, would you expect the team to provide the equipment for them, or would, you know, obviously as you go along, you'd buy your own equipment? I mean, I know how things were run in Edinburgh, but I don't know how any other teams did. We always had stuff, and then you had your stuff.
To be honest, if you're a club umpire, there are some clubs will provide equipment, but my advice really is start investing in your own personal gear. You're going to look after it a hell of a lot better, you know, and ask around some umpires. We might be able to provide you some, like I had my old plate shoes. I went round, I just put on the WhatsApp and I said, "Hey, I've got these size 8 plate shoes because I've gone and replaced them, but they're still in reasonable nick. Who wants them?" And an umpire piped up and said, "Yes, please." So I just fired them in, 20 quid because it's postage, and that was that, you know. So the equipment's not wasted. It's high quality gear we have. We don't want to just.
Cool. So, like, I'm curious. Oh, did we lose you, Thomas?
We don't want to go and chuck it in the dustbin, and no, because that is high quality gear that can be very much used.
Cool. So I'm actually really curious. You said plate shoes. So what is those involved? Are they like kind of steel-toed boots, or?
Yeah, effectively, these are. They're steel toe caps, or they may have a composite toe, but they're hardened, and then they have a protection over the metatarsal, so that if a ball is chopped down and hits you on the toe, also protects against the catcher if the catcher steps back and he's got spikes on, you know, because you really don't want to have spikes going through your shoes, and even when we get an umpire that's just starting out and they don't want to spend a ton on high quality shoes like that, we'll say still go down to the workwear shop and get something that's good for the building industry, some big boots which have steel toe caps at least, and then you can start off on that, and then you can work your way up and just over a period of time build up your equipment.
Cool.
Now, Thomas, last season, 2019, the last time we had a full season of baseball, on opening day, you umpired the Glasgow Derby, and I myself did a little bit of umpiring at first base, which you very kindly talked me through. And I also gave home plate umpiring a bit of a try last year in a friendly. Now, what I was struck by was how much pressure is automatically just thrown on your head when you put that mask on. What would your advice be to anyone who wants to give umpiring a try but might be potentially a bit maybe a bit wary about taking that plunge and the stress that comes with it?
I think the thing is you've got to take it methodically. I think you know, when they say, oh, it's a big game happening today, we've really got, no. Each game is a baseball game, right? Regardless of however anybody bigs it up, right? Each game is a baseball game. If you take the steps one step at a time, like for example, at first base. Now, a little tip with that is, what did you hear? Bang, or did you hear, right? When close play at home plate, you could close your eyes and you can tell, in that case, on something like that, what hit did the foot hit the bag first, or did the ball hit the glove, right? And if it's a close play, use your ears, for example, to make it. Step back, replay it in your mind. Don't rush in with your decisions, because if you rush in your decisions, that will probably create more problems for yourself. Because if you go, he's out, as soon as that clack hits, oh shucks, the ball's on the ground. Oh dear, oh save. Yeah, now you've lost. Now you're making yourself look silly because you haven't stopped to fully consider your calls. Remember, the call is a mental one. The signal is a physical one. You can still make the call mentally and go out. Oh shit, he dropped the ball. Save.
Wow.
Separate these things. Separate these little things. Like for example, you're behind the plate. Track the ball from the point it leaves the pitcher's hand, and keep your head still. Head height. Your head height should be, the chin should be no lower than the top of the catcher's helmet in the slot. The slot is the gap between the batter and the catcher's head, batter and catcher. And if you keep that, and you just and your slot foot should just be back at the back of the instep back of the catcher's rear heel, and so that you come down and then you keep your head still, lock in, but you do it at the point when he comes and he's just about to pitch. So you don't stay down too long, because otherwise you'll tire yourself out. And you just keep your head still and track it into the glove. And then you play it back in your mind, then make the call. If you're too quick, you don't track it, your distraction is going to be all over the place. Okay. There's a lot of physics. Remember, at the home plate, have about 11 different decisions to make within a second.
11. Okay, walk us through that. That sounds like a lot. I would have never thought there'd been that many.
Yeah, well, so what was it? Fair? Was it foul? Was it fouled? Was it hit by pitch? Did the batter interfere? Did the catcher interfere? Did the pitcher balk? I mean, that's just click straight off there, you know. And within that, so we've got to sort of look at all of these things, and also what's key is, as an umpire, you go and start to learn your rules. Remember, confidence breeds competence, and competence breeds confidence. There's a lot that you've got to learn, but don't just go and learn the rules parrot fashion. The trouble with that rule book is it makes a Microsoft program look like a wonderful piece of prose. Jim Evans, the famous Major League umpire, who's my mentor, said, "Have I told you there's 237 mistakes, errors, and contradictions in that rule book?" Okay, it might have changed since 2005, and they've recodified it, but they haven't got rid of all the contradictions. They've got rid of some, but if you rule in the rule book exactly how it's written, you'll be told you're umpire, right? You've got to try and learn. Game management also is key as an umpire, because if you have good game management, the other problems will go away. If you lose control of the game, then the teams will take their advantages and the whole thing will spiral out of control and you'll lose your respect. You know, respect is earned. It is not paid for. It is not bought. You know, you've got to go up and work it. Now, there are times when I could have ejected a player for throwing something, but what I might go up and I might go and say to the manager, hey, tell him to cool it. You know, tell him to cool it. Because if I see that again, he's gone. Now, what I'm doing there to the manager is I'm saying, I noted it, I saw it. I'm giving the manager either a chance to take him out of the game because he might be needing him as a key player later on in another game, or, you know, he might have a championship game coming up next week, which is actually key. And I'm not, but then I'm also saying, look, I'm not tolerating the hullabaloo that just happened there, you know? So there's times when you've got to manage a game. There are other times when you just say, self-ejected, bye-bye, you know? And yes, there are some things that are just automatic.
I'm really glad you brought this up, Thomas, because I wanted to ask you a few questions about this. Obviously, you're an umpire. The pressure's on. You're never going to make everyone happy, especially a batter with a bad call. How do you deal with it? Because obviously you get a lot of people who back talk to you there, and I know you have to just kind of let it go. But there's obviously a certain point, you know, okay, that's the trigger. You've crossed that line.
Okay, yeah.
And
so you heard of sniper fire, haven't you?
Yes.
Sniper fire, for those that don't know about it, is when somebody shouts at the dog, hey, come on, Blue, that was a strike. Well, hang on a moment. Baseball is a game of angles. What angle are you seeing the game from? Now, if you're from the dugout, you sure as hell ain't seen it from the angle I saw it from. I'll guarantee you that, right? Now, I will first of all, if I hear that, I'll ignore it. If I hear it again, I'll turn and I'll look at them. Yeah, it's saying, yeah, I heard you. Next time, go, any more from you guys on judgment calls, balls, strikes, safes, outs? And I might have two options. If I didn't know who it was, I'll just look at, and number 3's gone for the actions of his teammates, right? Or if I know who it is, Jason, any more from you on balls and strikes and you're done. And if I know the particular voice, then is that, then if I've given you tons of chances in that, right? That's gone, right? Now, another situation. Say this call I've got behind me. It's actually Jascha Szamora from Hungary, who literally almost on the Austrian border. And this is Harry Wisniewski from the Swiss national team coming in, scoring the run. Now, if that ended up in a hullabaloo with the manager coming out, now I say, I'll say, you come out, for example, Jason, you say, hey, Thomas, hey, he was safe, it's safe. Jason, I got him out. I got him out, for example. I know, obviously, this time you're safe, but I got him out. I'm not going to discuss any further. And you carry on. Now then, Jason, hand up, right? Look, put the hand up. Any more? No, I'm not taking any more. So I've got my warning in. If you carry on wanting a little bit more pieces of the pie, I'm going to take the pie away and provide you with a bottle of shampoo and a metaphorical bottle of shampoo and a towel. See them shares over there? You know what I mean?
Yes, he's going to the show.
I'm obviously putting a bit of humor in it at the moment, but the thing is, if you go into the game expecting to get away with it, raspberry or a rhubarb or whatever you call it, you may as well not go umpiring. It's part and parcel of the game. But if you keep your explanations short, in my judgment, he was out. And then if you turn around, well, your judgment sucks. You just signed your ejection ticket. Right. Anything with you or yours directed and a swear word or demeaning or derogatory of an umpire is an automatic. Gone, right? So you've got to be that call was horseshit. That's your opinion. Your horseshit. See ya. There's a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you can sum it up from Bull Durham with Crash Davis arguing with umpire, and saying that's probably the best example I can think of on top of my head.
Yeah, but the point here is what we're discussing is a lot of players will self-eject. I had a situation in Belfast, where Tunbridge came and were against the Dublin Hurricanes, and Tunbridge brought in a good young pitcher, and he was doing quite well in an inning or two in, and then he struck out. And at the point he struck out, he pile drived his bat into the plate. As an automatic, throwing equipment to discuss the umpire's judgment call. The only trouble for poor Tunbridge was he was their one and only good pitcher. So of course the game collapsed. I don't like to see a game collapse, but if a player's going to do something like that, you can't let it walk. You can't let it walk by, because then everyone else thinks they can get away with it. I take no pleasure in ejecting. Usually my thought is, once I've ejected, I was, oh crap, paperwork.
That's your biggest concern is paperwork.
Because it doesn't. The paperwork thought doesn't occur until after you've done the ejecting, because then now you've got to write up the report. Obviously, depending on what league you're in, it depends what you got to what you got to do. But you've got to write them up, and some leagues are stricter than others. But the point there is you've got to take enforcement action, because if you don't take enforcement action, they'll just start walking all over you. Game management is key, absolutely key in all of this.
Well, I'm glad you brought up that you umpired in Belfast there. Now, we know you're quite an accomplished umpire. How many different countries have you umpired in?
Ich habe in 20 Länder geschiedsrichtet, they would say in Germany. I umpired in 20 countries around the world, as diverse as Britain, through to Australia, New Zealand, through to Xi'an in China, Taiwan, Japan, Turkey, what else? Sweden, just done a whole host. I mean, I'd love to do Canada, and I know we've got Ray Brownlee, so I know once we get let out for good behavior out of all of this maelstrom that we find ourselves in, it'd be lovely to go and do something over there as well, And one of the other things I'd love to do, and it's more a personal thing, is to go back to Central, which introduced me to baseball in the first place, and to go and umpire a game there. And I have the connection. I have a very good Washington former minor league umpire called Brian Herzog, who I know very, very well, and he regularly umpires there. So I know my chances of getting a game there would be quite high. And I've umpired in several other college teams in sort of like a fall league and stuff like that, and they look at me and they think, they all look at me and say, "This guy's from Scotland." And it hasn't computed the fact that actually someone from Scotland can actually umpire, baseball, Scotland, and then then you come over here, baseball, eh? You probably find that too, Jason, when you say you actually play baseball. Usually I say, "Oh yeah, I'm a baseball umpire," when I'm talking business conversations, and I get the expected was, what? Sorry, say that again.
Yeah, it happens quite a bit. We did, me and John did quite a few interviews for the Negro League Baseball Museum last autumn, and we had quite a few conversations off the air about what baseball was like in Scotland. So everyone seems always impressed by it. So you get those all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I do remember John Hopkins University came over. I don't know whether you were here.
I was, yeah. That was we had the big tournament then.
Yeah, it was a big one, and they literally got to the field, and it just poured, absolutely poured it down, and everybody pulled that, and we managed to get the field playable again. And the players had just got back to the hotel, and we full went, No, it's come on back. And they brought in, I think it was about 11 pitchers and 9 catchers into the game because they all wanted to say that they'd played baseball in Scotland.
Yes. We used a lot of diamond dry and oh gosh,
kitty litter. I think kitty litter.
Yeah, I was trying to be kind and say diamond dry, but I knew it was kitty litter.
Well, sorry, we don't have something called diamond dry over here. Kitty litter is effectively what it is. So yeah, we use that. And I must admit that they had the parents who came with the students, and one of them turned around to me and said, "We have AA baseball back home. I go and watch it. You umpired a heck of a lot better than some of the umpires we see over there." And I was like, oh. It was just one of them things. It was like, I just had a laugh. We were all having a laugh, and we just got on and did the job. And the Talib Yazim, I think, was the base umpire up from Cumbria there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that game well. That was a lot of fun. We gave John Hopkins quite a match during that one. I mean, that was still back when we were in Preston Pans. that takes us back to like 2005, 2006.
Yeah, but then I do so umpire a lot in Europe. I've represented Great Britain quite a few times, and I do remember having just finished umpire school. Or I do remember having to go over to Rouen in France, and there was a junior tournament, and I had a situation. And so I'm umpiring German. I can umpire in German. I can umpire in French, and I do remember several situations. One was I was umpiring on my own in Rouen, and this pitch comes in. Batter bunts the ball. But as he's running out, he touches it with his foot. But the trouble is, kids and everyone is screaming, so they don't hear me. And I'm bellowing out, "Now, time. But nobody's hearing me. So catcher picks up the ball to throw up to first. It overthrows first. Kid runs round. We have a runner on first, one out, right? The runner comes from third, comes home. The runner the batter runner eventually ends up at third on a bunt, getting that. And I'm going, time. On the interference, he's out. And the Czech dugout is only in English. The Czech manager can't speak English. His assistant can. So I tell him, right, we've got interference on the batter. He's out because he touched the ball with his foot, having batted it in fair territory. The runner from third must go back, right? Batter's out. So that's so effectively we've got 2 outs. And then goes heading towards the German dugout. Also, wir haben Interferenz auf den Schlager, weil er das zweite Mal mit dem Fuß in dem Feld gekehrt hat. Der Renner aufs dritte muss zurückkehren und es gibt keinen Punkt und der Schlager ist aus. And as I'm returning to the plate, Monsieur l'arbitre, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Alors, il y avait l'interférence sur le frappeur carré touché par son pied. Le coureur troisième troisième doit retourner et le frappeur est retiré. Merci. One play, three languages, you know, and it's just those little stories. It's not one of those nasty ones, but it's trying to show that sometimes you have to manage a game, even if it's another language. And then there was another time, just even in Switzerland, there was a team from Lausanne, and I just gave the count, 2 balles, une prise in French, and the Quebec catcher originally from Quebec just went, oh, vous parlez français? Oui, bien sûr. But the important point there was, I know what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the measure of you in that respect. So it's a little touch that says, I'm managing the game. You know?
That's really cool. That's such a cool story.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that one. I mean, it happened early in after. I think it was 2005, 2006, something like that. So it was right after the training. Yeah, and you get that stuff. But the thing that's also important in all of this is that we go to train umpires, because I'm really looking for umpires who want to learn, I'm happy to train on the job, and I'm happy to look out for them. But we want to try and I'll be there at the end of a phone line or end of a WhatsApp. And if they have issues and they want to learn more, we can do stuff. I mean, even in Edinburgh, we get 1 or 2 umpires. We have dear Wolfie. For those of you who haven't encountered Wolfie,
I think Wolfie just stands out there. I don't know how much umping he does these days.
Wolfie is a Scotland baseball legend. Let's just say he's called Wolfie because, well, the whiskers come out from everywhere. I've known him, Wolfie, in baseball since I started, and he's still there, and he just burns the love for the game. No disrespect to Wolfie. Sometimes when you get more towards an elevated age, trying to take so much more information in can be a little bit more difficult, but we still make him very much feel included in the game. When you get younger players, their ability to take a lot more information in is very much easier just by the fact that because they're younger. But we want to learn, I want to teach umpires, I want to impart some of this knowledge, because some of this stuff I've got is, for some people, is really good. I won't be around in the game forever. I mean, I've got 925 games under my belt. 1,000 games is what I would love to hit. I mean, the past couple of years have made life a little bit harder. And after that, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I mean, I've umpired up to World Cup training game level in 2009 in Sweden. I can't go any higher, really. My abilities, there are better umpires than me. I know that. You've got to be realistic in what you dare do and say. There are other things I'd like to go off and do, but the trouble is when you're an expert, people really, really want you. I mean, I regularly get players. All you are doing is a umpiring plate. I say, no. Oh, that's a shame. So we do get that. I mean, what can you do? But I want players and people to come forward. I'll train you. I'll help you. But you got to put the effort in as well.
What do you think teams can do? So we're not going to put the onus on the organizations. What can teams do better to actively encourage people to umpire? What do you think? If there's a solution for that? Because again, no one goes, I want to play baseball and say I want to become an umpire. But I think there must be something we can do to improve.
Shall we rewind the clock a little bit, Jason?
Okay.
The BBF, the British Baseball Federation, of which Scotland used to be part of, had a bylaw saying every team should send a player to take part to the umpire training course to train partly as an umpire to cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was no penalty,
right? Should
they not do it? So of course everyone ignored it, right? Now, the onus here also, if you go to Switzerland, now I'm a Swiss licensed umpire, right? I umpire in the NLA, which is effectively the NBL in London type equivalent, right? Good quality baseball with good quality umpires, but the thing there is they play on the Saturday and Sunday, like how we spoke about earlier, and they basically each team is on the rotas for having to provide an umpire on a day when they're not playing. So if they play on the Saturday, they have to provide an umpire on the Sunday, right? That is expected. They provide really good umpire training, and you have to go, then they have their licensing system. So the C license is basically you just started out, you just got your umpire mask and your indicator. The NLB, which is more your sort of NLB, sort of mid-league type umpire, and then your A license, which is your top umpires. And you have a licensing system. So you've got a system that will effectively give them something to aim for. That's part of it. Secondly, because they have to provide an umpire as part of it, then to umpire a team independent of them. So it's not their own team. So say here we've got Janusz Szymora against the Swiss national. Well, I think there was also the Northern Knights. Now in that system, then the Northern Knights would provide the umpires for this game, for example. As it was then, we had a whole umpire crew, so that was fine. But you've got to make You've got to bring them in. If they're going to provide the umpires, the trouble is we're such a small umpire crew in the UK, such a small crew, so that we're stretched. So it's and then they want us to try and go and recruit umpires. I've got a business to run, and it's not umpiring. You've both got jobs to do. So it's not paying. There is no real third-party financial support for the sport that we're in. You know, somebody has to step up and at least put in 10p's worth. And if we all put in 10p's worth, then we'll all get better. It's the 1% principle. You know, everyone puts in 1%, suddenly we're up to 20%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's good insight to see how it's going. I think everyone takes umpiring for granted. And just, you know, everyone has that one person who's been doing it for 5, 10, 20 years, but there's never seems to be really a push to get people to encourage them to learn to umpire.
I think, to be honest, the league, so whoever's governing the league, has to make it impress upon the teams. Look, you have a duty to provide somebody. If you provide me the volunteers, I'll train them up. But if they're not coming forward and they're not asking to be trained, and I don't know who they are, how can I? I can't, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, also teams, as I said earlier, teams have to provide. My training cost me thousands and thousands of dollars, you know? And then teams expect me to pay up, to rock up and do it for absolutely zilch. Well, does a business work like that? No, I don't think it does. No, I don't think it does, because you go to the lumber yard, and you get some wood, and you hand it something. Oh, just make me something. Yeah, well, what's that going to cost? Oh, no, I don't want to. Well, you're not going to get your thing made, right?
Right.
You know, I've got a lot of skill. I've got a lot of skill, and it's a craft, effectively. So don't expect umpires, skilled umpires, to rock up. You know, if you have a tournament and you want us to turn up at Farnham Park and go 800 miles down, and you want us to go 800 miles down, pay for accommodation and go back. Oh yeah, P.S. we get you for free, or for a burger and a can of pop out of the thing. You know, it grates. I'd rather, if they're not prepared to pay, I'm not going to go all that way. And you know, I've got to turn up and do it, put all that effort in. I'm taking a whole weekend out. Some people wonder, why are you in my Swiss umpire? Because the Swiss pay, and it's the equal amount of time for me to get down to Switzerland by plane as it is for me to rock down to London. Plus, the Swiss make me feel really welcome. I get to know everybody in the teams, and they're good quality fields. So, you know,
easy decision for you.
Well, exactly, and you know, and what's more, I get to practice my German and my French and stuff like that.
Plus, you get a night out when you're in the place you're staying, so you know you can go in and enjoy some.
Can do, or we sometimes put up with fellow Swiss umpires, which is really nice.
Yeah. I bet it's nice to go somewhere and unwind with a drink and catch up about the games. And I imagine with the other umpires, you guys talk shop all day long.
Well, exactly. And then I think that's one thing that, because we're so few umpires, talking shop is not something we always can do face to face. We have to do it online. And the banter, we miss that. When you're in a baseball team, you can forever shoot the breeze, you know. And actually talking about players shooting the breeze, when you think of it, when they're up to bat, they go up, they hit the ball, they may go around a couple of bases before that, and they go back and they lollygag it back in the dugout or the benches as it is in Scotland. And then the umpire, if he for 1 second takes his mind off something, they're on him like a cheap suit. As umpires, we have to concentrate for that entire time. And the only time when our mind can stop for 2 seconds is between innings, when we sort of like, right, I need to go get some water. Right, that's my 10 seconds off. That's all I get. You know, I've got to pay attention to what the hell's going on around the field. and players seem to forget that a little bit, you know. But they have the banter, they have the good time, they have the social time, and us umpires. Well, you know, the other thing about an umpire, right? Have you ever seen? I can tell a novice umpire a mile off. Ball cap is backwards. Probably equipment's on the outside, and the hands are behind the back to try and protect their hands. That screams at me, novice umpire, right? But if you think about it, if somebody turns up sort of roughly dressed, oh, where's the umpire? Oh, he's that guy over there. Now, if I turn up smartly dressed as an umpire, oh, umpires are here. It just comes natural. If they know that you're the umpire, then that's half. You're starting off on the right foot. You create the impression when you walk in the door, so to speak.
That's very true. Very true.
Yep.
All right, Thomas. I have one more question for Thomas, but if you want to ask yours, John, go for it, because we got to wrap it up here shortly.
I just wanted to close up by asking, what is the strangest rule that you've encountered in a game situation and the toughest call you've had to make?
Strangest rule situation. Oh yeah, okay. This happened actually at Meadow Mill, just outside Edinburgh, and somebody actually had it this week. Actually, it's in another game here. Was you know, when sometimes you get an awkward pitch, and you have crouch down to try and get out of the way so you're not hit by pitch, right? Well, this player ducked down, but he had his bat up in the air over his shoulder. The pitch hit the ball. The pitch hit the bat, and effectively bunted itself back into fair territory. And then I pointed fair because it's a fair ball. It hit the bat. Everyone's looking, what's going on? What's going on here? You know, it's like, The catcher realizes I'm going fair ball, fires it up first, they get the out. The batter had no intention of hitting the ball. He was trying to get out of the way. But there's these little situations that sometimes catch you out. The chief enemy of an umpire is surprise. You know, Be prepared. You know, be prepared. And it's sort of like that was a weird one. And then another one you don't see very often at all is an intentionally dropped ball, which intentionally dropped ball. And the another one which I saw that you don't see very often is infield fly followed immediately next pitch by another infield fly. I've seen that. I think I've seen that twice. So yeah, you have to be prepared for some of these third world bits of third world stuff, you know.
Brilliant.
Great, Thomas. I've actually got a non-umpiring question for you. So you're also the head of the LGBT committee for BSUK.
I wouldn't say, no, I'm not the head. I'm a participant of. You're
a participant of. And I'm just curious because you've seen a bigger push for that now. Are you finding the sport becoming more inclusive now?
It has. I don't. I mean, they're trying to make it more inclusive, but within baseball, there's never been anything anti against who I am or what I do. Mm-hmm. I've never encountered that. I never chose to divulge. Mm-hmm. But then I just let my game do the talking. Eventually it just leaked out, and that was that. Nothing's really changed as far as I'm concerned. For within the people always know who I am and stuff like that, and that's it. I mean, yes, there seems to be quite a good push to try and make LGBT folk welcome. Mm-hmm. I think it's the welcoming aspect of it. I think baseball, by its very nature, up until recently, has been majority a male sport. Having said that, down in England, they've now started up a ladies' baseball league, mm-hmm. Which is very much in its infancy. I don't know. I mean, the lot of this equality you could potentially deem to be. You could potentially say, well, it's quite political in one respect. Yep. I don't want to set the cat among the pigeons in that respect. I'm there just to try and help out. I mean, okay, it's part of the fact that I was part of that committee. I got invited by Jack Murley from the BBC's LGBT Sports podcast to be part of that, and I did, and we talked all about the career and stuff like that. It's a full career. I'll always look back at it with pride. I always look back and say, yeah, I did that. I represented my country. Given the fact that I hated sport at school, I was bullied. I hadn't had anything there, and I turned it round and represented my country. I should be immensely proud when I finally hang up the mask. I mean, I'll probably hang up the mask, and then I might be there to sort of hand out tips and tricks when I'm just on the sidelines. Mm. But there comes a point when you think, I've done all I can do. I know that there was one umpire from the Netherlands, Edwin van der Beek. He was 33 when he hung up his mask. Why? Because he had just umpired the Olympics. He couldn't go any higher. He walked away from the game. So, yeah. What do you want to do and how do you want to do it? Well, my target is 1,000 games. What I do after that, I don't know, but I'd probably be finding myself doing lots of other things and probably not doing so many games. Mm-hmm. Baseball's there, yes, and it's great. It's had me traveling all over the place. There comes a point when you must say, I'll be in.
Do you have any Baseball Scotland National League games on your schedule this year? Will you be umpiring in Scotland this season?
Well, yes, I've already umpired a few, but the thing here is in my position, I'm in a slightly unusual, ineffectively, as I'm a free agent. Mm-hmm. I go where there are games that I can umpire. I'm not like, if you say, for instance, Switzerland, you're in Austria, you're in Netherlands or in France, you get assigned games. Mm-hmm. And you just assign games, you just go off to go do those games. And that's fine. You're told you're here. I just have to find out where there are games and self-assign. And yes, it has its goods and its what have you. And then Mike Shepherd down in London, he's asked me, hey, when am I next down? But you've got to bear in mind, it's an 800-mile round trip and a train journey. I have to go down on the Friday, stay overnight, 2 overnights, because I'm not going to go down there and do one game. And the last weekend was at Enfield. And the trouble was at Enfield was soccer took priority. So we didn't start the game till 1:30. Well, the trouble was the last train out that I could take was 6 o'clock in the evening from London King's Cross. We had to bring in another umpire because I had to leave early. I couldn't go. I had work to do next day, So it's at times it can be frustrating, but you just got to take it as it is, We got in a game, and then I did one inning, and then I had to walk away.
It happens. It does happen.
Well, thank you so very much for joining us today, Thomas. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Hopefully we'll get you back on to talk some more umpiring stories, and I want to touch more on your photography as well the next time we have you on, because we didn't really touch on that, but you've mentioned that you take quite a lot of shots, like the action shot that you have behind you. So we'll get you back on someday, hopefully in the near future. Once again, thanks for joining us, and hopefully I'll see you on the field at some point this year.
Well, you never know. You might find me on the field. It's just one of them things. So just check that you are in safely into the base before I make the call, okay?
Brilliant, Thomas. Always good to chat with you. We'll have to catch up soon.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Thomas. Now, Jason, let's move on before we close up to this weekend's games. Baseball Scotland's National League is back in action this Sunday. There were no games, obviously, this past Sunday due to Father's Day. I'm pleased to say that it looks like, all going well, both Glasgow teams will be back in action this week. So let's get the schedule up here.
Thomas, if you want to hang up, you can hang up now. You don't have to stick around for this bit.
I may as well listen to the whole podcast.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, I just see which spicy games I'm going to be missing.
I know the Cannons have their home opener because I've seen that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the Cannons.
You're firing that one off, huh?
The Cannons were supposed to have their home opener the other week, but obviously the Comets, due to COVID protocols, unable to play. They'll be hosting the Aberdeen Oilers this weekend. The Grand City Oilers, Steve Evans' team, had a fantastic opening day. So it's gonna be interesting to see if Rory's lot can right the ship after their opening day loss, and to see if the Oilers can continue their great form.
I have a free weekend. I might go down and play.
You're going to play?
Bombshell.
Sorry. Something's gone wrong. There's a sprocket loose.
I have a free weekend, so I might come down and play on Sunday. I might. We'll see.
I need to dig out the audio of when I predicted that you would play a game this year, because you're like, never, no.
This is the first free weekend in like 2 years, so we'll see. Like I said,
hopefully, I hope you do get to play, man. And it'll give us something to talk about next week for sure.
Yeah, sure will.
Speaking of stuff to talk about next week, the Comets are back in action. We are once again at home. We host the 2-0 red hot Diamond Devils. They've scored 28 runs in the first 2 games. So Van's guys are, I think a surprise of the early stages this season. I don't think anybody expected them to be this potent offensively. And they've only allowed 1 run in their first 2 games. 12-0, 16-1. That's quite dominant. So it's going to be interesting for me to see them in person. And hopefully us Comets can stimulate that flow a bit and get our second win. Obviously the Comets 1-0. I'm looking forward to this weekend. We should have pretty much a full squad. I think Nelson's groin injury is fine.
He can kick down doors, I saw.
Yeah, there's no COVID issues anymore with the team, so all going well. That should go along without a hitch. The third and final game this weekend is the Tayport Breakers and the Glasgow Galaxy. Now, on this schedule that I have in front of me, it says Tayport at Glasgow. However, we will be at home, so I think that will be in Tayport, in fact. So that will be the Galaxy on the road in Tayport. Now, Tayport obviously have started the season 0-2. Galaxy started the season with a loss on opening day. It's going to be interesting there to see if the Galaxy can right the ship. And sort of show their quality, or if the Tayport Breakers have their first victory in them this coming Sunday. So a full slate of games. Once again, Father's Day's out of the way. There's no COVID issues. Let's play some ball.
We could. I'll let you know what happens over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Next week's show could be interesting. We might both be infirm by the Tuesday, depending on how the games go. But just good to be finally getting back to baseball after what feels like a long break. I mean, after the infinite off season that we just had, to finally get opening day, and then to have the following week both Glasgow teams out of action. That was just a break that we didn't need. And then obviously Father's Day weekend we had no games, so it's good to finally be able to get back in about it, and hopefully there won't be any more interruptions to the schedule this season.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got my spider tack on the way, so I'm good for Sunday.
Before we go then, Thomas, why don't you give us your take on the whole spider tack phenomenon and the rule that they've brought in that umpires are checking players? We've got pitches stripping off on the field.
To be honest, it's probably not so much of an issue here, really, because honestly, what is a fastball here is something that takes an age to get. I must admit, I find really good 70, 80 mile an hour plus pitches so much easier to call. When you get the Jason Durr slurve that almost dies before the plate, those are absolute pain in the butt. The fact that actually you're talking about all this tack and the doctoring the ball in Scotland, to be honest, it's not an issue because they can't really take advantage of all this stuff. Fine, if I find something dodgy on it, I'm probably going to say, "Oi, you shit." But no, really, here there's quite a few rules that technically we should enforce. But what about all this replay stuff? Well, what's that in Scotland? There's a whole lot of practicalities. You've got to take the local situation and look at it in a proper and sensible manner, if you know what I mean. Pragmatic is the word.
Exactly.
So hey, on that you could say He's out.
And we're gonna head out to Jason. We have plenty of social media links. The easiest one is linktree.com/caps and pipes. That's where people can find the Spotify and iTunes streams, the Twitter, Instagram, Anchor, and
Everything.
Facebook as
YouTube.
well.
All our social medias are up on Linktree.
Yeah, linktree.com/caps and pipes. I'm at John Caps Pipes on Twitter. You're at Bubba on Baseball. Do you want to fire out your links as well quickly?
No. We'll leave it for another time. Like I said, this is all about Scottish baseball today. So.
And Thomas, is there anywhere you can direct people towards?
Yes. If you're looking for me on social media, it's at T Haywood Photo, or thomashaywood.com.
Fantastic. Do you have any resources or links that you would recommend for any wannabe umpires?
Probably the best thing is just contact me, and I've got a whole load of resources that I can fire your way. It just depends what you're wanting to learn. There's no point in saying there's a ton of information. I mean, I'm just looking here. I've got a whopping great big folder that I've got sitting on the computer from stuff when I was 2005 at umpire school, a whole host of stuff. But the thing is, what do you want to learn? What parts do you want to learn? There's no point in me checking out, say, for example, you want to find spaghetti carbonara. I don't go and chuck the wheat at you. I actually produce the finished dish. So you got to, the resources are there, but I've got to know what resources you want.
Excellent. Superb. Thank you so much again for joining us, Thomas. Really, really appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, we'll have to get you back on and we'll talk some more in depth about baseball memories and more about your photo art as well. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Jason, as always, a pleasure. And thank you to everyone watching. Obviously, this one is being pre-recorded. We're not streaming live this week due to the Scotland game the other day. We'll be back on Tuesday, live at 9 p.m, depending on the physical state of Mr. Dare.
We'll see. We have the Sweden match on Tuesday in Hamden.
All right, okay. We will keep everyone.
We'll keep everyone informed.
Yeah.
It might be another pre-recorded still.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Mrs. Dare is a Swedish native, so I guess you guys will be busy watching the game.
Yeah, we're trying to get tickets. So if anyone's got a connection, let me know.
All right. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for listening to anyone listening to the audio stream, and au revoir.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Auf Wiedersehen. Ciao.